Hello and welcome back to this channel. I hope you're all doing well. As a disclaimer, this is a fictional story, so if it resembles like anyone else's story out there, then it's just a coincidence. Now, in this story, do you know when they ask children when they're young, when they ask children, what do you want to be when you grow up? So this child, actually not a child, this young adult was asked, what do you want to be when you grow up? So he was asked in school, what do you want to be when you grow up? And he said, I don't want to be anything when I grow up apart from being rich. I want to be rich when I grow up. And then they asked, okay, but you want to be rich when you grow up? Yes, but doing what? And he said doing nothing. So I said, what career? They asked again, what career do you want to do when you're older, when you grow up? And he said, nothing, no career, but I want to be rich. That's all I want to do. And he said, so they asked him, so do you want to be a teacher? And he said, no. Do you want to be a doctor? No. Do you want to be an engineer? No. So you don't want to do anything? He said, yeah, I don't want to do anything. And they asked him, so why don't you want to have a career then? And he said, because I don't like to do any of the careers that I've seen people do and that I've read about. So they said, well, you can't be rich for doing nothing. And he said, yes, you can. So they asked him, how can you be rich for doing nothing? You got to make money. You got to make money, and to make money, you got to do something that gives you money, that brings in money. And he said, no, I will do nothing and I'll be rich. So they asked him, so how are you going to do that? How are you going to be rich for doing nothing? And he said, I don't know yet, but ask me again in 10 years and I'll tell you. So 10 years later, they literally remembered and asked that young boy, the same question. But by the time they found him, because by then he's like 10 years later, is now an adult, and he is rich. 10 years later, literally is rich. So they found him, and guess what he does? They didn't need to ask him what you do for a living, because they know what you do, how come you're rich, and he actually made that dream come true. So he became rich for doing nothing. So they asked him, so how are you rich? How do you make your money? And he said, remember when you asked me 10 years ago what I want to do for a living? And I said nothing. And I said, I just want to be rich for doing nothing. And they said, yes. So are you rich now? And he says, yes, I am. Okay, so what do you do for a living? He says, nothing. I said, what do you mean? You do nothing and you're rich? You're making money for doing nothing? And he says, yes, I literally do nothing and I'm rich. So they asked him, what kind of job is that? What career is that doing nothing? Like, what exactly? How are you making money? Can you explain that to us, please? And he says, I literally just sit there, let people paint me. So it's basically the model, and they paint him, and they pay him for that. And that's what it means by doing nothing. He just stands there and let people paint him, and he gets paid for it. And he does a lot of those jobs, and he also does other things on top of that. He also does other things like hobbies that he loves doing, like he loves painting himself, and drawing. So he makes his own paintings and he does drawings, and they say, so that's something, and he makes money from, sorry, excuse the noise, he does actually make money from his paintings because he sells them, and people love his painting. and so he's making quite a lot of money from his paintings, and his art collection. And so they said, so okay, so you do something for a living. You are doing art, you're painting and you're drawing, so that's what you're doing for a living, and you are a model, you know, so you're making money from those things. And he says, no, I don't do anything. And he says, so the modeling bit, I just stand there doing nothing, and people paint me, people draw me, and I make money. So, and then also my paintings, my drawing, those things are nothing. I've been doing those things since I was a child anyway. I just love doing those things. In my spare time, I always just sit down and paint and draw, and those make me really happy. Doing those kind of things make me really, really happy. They're like therapeutic for me. They help me relax, distress, and enjoy my time. So for me, if you ask me what you're doing, I'll say nothing. I'm doing nothing because I don't feel like I'm doing anything. I'm actually enjoying my time and relaxing. And so for me, if you think this is work, this is not work. This is what I love doing. And I don't get tired from doing this. It doesn't get tired from painting, from drawing. It doesn't get tired of it at all. It could do it all day long, 12 hours a day. And he could do it at night. Sometimes he'll be sleeping and he wakes up and he just start painting or drawing just because he feels like it. And it for him is not work at all. So that's just his passion, his hobby, and whether he's tired or not, he will do it and he will not complain. So he says, if you think this is work for me, he says he's just lucky that he found something that he loves doing in the whole world, literally loves doing, and he's very passionate about it. And he found a way to make money from it, and a lot of money, because people love his drawings. And actually, when he started doing these drawings and painting, he wasn't doing for money to sell. He was just doing it as a passion of his, because he's been doing it since he was little. He loves drawing. So, and his parents would just let him draw all day long. Normally kids who love going out playing and all that, he would just go and draw. Even if they take him out like to the park to play, or extracurriculum activities after school, he would take his drawings materials with him so he can do some drawing. You won't see him playing with other kids not that often really, but he'll just be drawing and drawing and drawing. So his parents just left him to it and just let him continue with his drawing, because that's what he loves doing. He wouldn't watch TV, and he would just draw. Like, it's unbelievable how much he loves drawing as a child, and that carried on as a teenager, and he never stopped until now. 10 years later, as an adult, he's still drawing, and people love his drawing. Family members, friends, and neighbors, they would, because he's really good at it, and he kept learning and improving from his drawings and paintings. He literally read every book there is out there, and found every single information there is to find out there about drawing and painting, because that's just his deep passion. And he's learned everything there is to learn, really, and he keeps improving his drawings and his paintings, and they are amazing. So friends, neighbors, even family members, they actually pay him for his paintings and drawings, because he's that good. They think if they just let him give, because he will draw and paint, and then he'll give them out. He'll just hand them out to people. He go out there on the street and say, would you like this? Because he's kept so many collections. He doesn't know what to do with them, and he doesn't want them to go to waste, because they're just amazing. So he gets bored of them, and he gives them out. He just hands them out to people. He'll give them to his parents, siblings, friends. He'll go on the streets with his siblings and his friends, and they'll just hand them out to people. And people can't believe they're being given these amazing. They can see so much talent in his drawing and his paints, and they feel guilty to just take them like that for free. So they pay him for them, And then he kept drawing, and he kept handing them out to people, just random people out there, and they will pay him instead. They will pay him. And so his parents saw that, wow, okay, so you can actually make money from this. So they found a way to start selling them the right way, and that's how he makes his money. Now he's rich. 10 years later, he's rich, and he just tells people, I do nothing and I'm rich. I'm literally rich for doing nothing, because what I do that makes me this money does not feel like work at all. To him, it doesn't feel like work, but to other people, if other people do it, maybe some people will do the same thing as he does, they will feel like it's actually work. But for him, it's nothing. Everything he does that makes him money, that makes him rich, to him is nothing. So literally, he found a way to be rich. Like he said 10 years ago, he found a way to be rich for doing nothing, and it's unbelievable. So so that's the story of today, and I hope you subscribe if you liked it, and I'll see you in the next video. Take care. Bye.